Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and it's also Friday, so I'm going to take a dive into the Brexit press again. In this video, I'll be discussing how the hardest of hard Brexit papers, The Express, has now written an article blaming Brexit for the food shortages. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So it's a bit of an odd one. And I'm conscious of the fact that I'm talking about The Express again. Where there are other Brexit media, I don't mean to pick on them, I really don't, but they just seem to have the greatest capacity to surprise me. I'm in a constant state of childlike wonder when I browse these pages, but this one was a real surprise. Because for a while, the way it worked is the pro-Brexit media, which is most of the media in this country, avoided talking about food shortages at all. They just didn't talk about it. Then when it became undeniable enough for just like most people to go, oh, there's shortages here, where the supermarkets couldn't cover up for it by just putting more of something else on the shelves, then they were reporting it, but they reported it being down to the so-called pingdemic. Workers having to isolate after being told by the COVID app that they'd been in close contact with someone testing positive. And that's the way they're running it. That's the way a lot of the media are still running it this week, even though the pingdemic is now no longer, because the government rules have changed. So you don't have to isolate if you've been double vaccinated. Now they run this headline, quote, "Fury erupts as Boris's handling of food shortage crisis. It's a Brexit issue." This is somewhat remarkable. Now, the article itself, which I'll get onto, makes a lot of use of quotes from business leaders in the supply chain blaming Brexit. You could certainly read the article as presenting a viewpoint that Brexit is to blame rather than objective statement. There aren't any real comments in the article itself, more just quotes, which is at least factual. They also did the usual pro-government media trick of ending the article with a quote from the government on ways they are trying to help without any critical analysis of what the statement says, thus potentially leaving their readers in the false belief that the government are on with it. So I guess I'll have to pick that apart myself. But the point is that for those who just read the headline, which a lot of people do, a lot of people just read the headline, they may read the odd article, they see Brexit being blamed for the food shortages. Oh, I thought it was the pingdemic. No, it's Brexit. Making it probably the most accurate headline to appear in the paper for a little while. But even those reading the article will see quote after quote from different people, not one person, and there's no like balance. It's not like, Professor X says that it's due to Brexit and then Dr. Y says, oh, no, it's actually this other thing. No, it's all consistently blaming Brexit and explaining why it's Brexit. People in the supply chain explicitly saying, this is Brexit. It's not the pingdemic. And they have to wait until the end of the article for the pointless government statement. So you'd still have to be of a very, very blinkered view that the government are more trustworthy than the people who supply our food to keep thinking Brexit isn't the issue. So well done, The Express, for once. Or is it? Is it The Express having a momentary lapse of immorality and publishing an important message, or is it just the way the wind is blowing? Because look at the headline again. So let's say you weren't very well informed. Obviously, all my viewers are well informed, but let's say you weren't. What's your take home from that headline? Sure, Brexit is causing problems with the supply chain. Well, tell me something I don't know. But the take home is that Boris Johnson is to blame. It's specifically naming him, not some minister, not the nameless government. Specifically, Boris is what it says. And that people are angry with him. Fury. I saw a tweet from someone yesterday who said that a hairstylist they knew was reporting formerly Boris-loving customers to be saying nothing good about him anymore. Anecdotal, of course. And it doesn't matter how much anecdotal evidence we see, of a shift in the public's attitude to Johnson, it won't displace him unless two things are true. One, it's real. It has to be real, not just little pockets. It has to be across the country, and we'd need to see that reflected in polling. And secondly, it has to be sustained. The Conservatives aren't going to panic and jettison him off if it turns out to be just another rough patch that he once again gets past. They need to know that people have definitely had enough of him now. They know that he does and says things that annoy people. They know that. But he, in the past, has always got past them. So they'll need to know that this is actually a shift now. In that regard, I'm going to keep my eye on the polls, of course. But I'm going to wait to see what people think in October. A lot of stuff is happening next month. A lot of banana skins for Johnson. Now, he may avoid some of them. He may cop for all of them. It will be interesting because one of the biggest banana skins is the continuing collapse of the supply chain. We're now seeing reports that GPs have been asked to cut down the number of blood tests they order. Don't carry out unnecessary tests, they are being told. To which I've seen more than a few doctors respond that they never carry out unnecessary blood tests. But the reason is that Britain now has a shortage of blood test bottles. Not anywhere outside Britain. Not Northern Ireland, so it's not a UK issue. It's just Britain. Just Brexit Britain. We're now running low on more medical supplies. That means some people won't get access to the healthcare if it can be deemed non-urgent. If a doctor would normally say, oh, you got the symptoms of this, we're going to need to give you a blood test. But you're probably not going to die from it, so we'll just have to put that off for a bit. We'll run out of bottles, you see. More care being put off, just like elective surgeries being cancelled because of Brexit and the government who are guided by the Brexit mindset. But we'll also see the food shortages becoming more stark without government intervention. It's all very well them saying that businesses need to sort it out. The government needs to coordinate and lead. Otherwise, the problem doesn't go away. So how did the government respond in the report in the Express article? Well, they said a couple of things. First thing, we have well-established ways of working with the food sector and are working closely with them to ensure businesses have the labour they need. So let's take that statement first. They say they're working closely with the food sector, but the food sector say that the government are ignoring their advice. Not just they're taking this bit and ignoring this bit, they're not doing enough, ignoring it completely. I have not seen a single report of anything that the government have done which is in line with what the food or haulage industry think will work. The government, yes, they extended driver hours. Do the haulage industry say this will do any good? No, not a thing, they said. Won't help in the slightest. They have done not one thing, and I've looked. Then they say they are ensuring that businesses have the labour they need. Well, in this Express article, it quotes the British Poultry Council, who I'm going to be talking about more this weekend, saying that the industry has vacancies of 16%. 16%! How is that ensuring that they have the labour they need? Absolute hogwash. And the article should have come with a few comments on these government statements to draw attention to their crass ineptitude. With that statement, it should have immediately says, but I draw your attention to the British Poultry Council saying that in their industry, there are 16% vacancies. So how much labour are they really ensuring? Then the government monkey went on to say, we are looking at ways to help the sector recruit more domestic labour and invest in automation in order to reduce the reliance on migrant workers coming to the UK. So 3 things here. First of all, increasing our capacity to do without migrant labour is absolutely fine. The more, just as a matter of national security, the more you can, or the less rather you rely upon international other countries, the better. Because when you have a little spat with them, and we're having a lot of big spats with countries at the moment, then you don't suffer as badly. So I've no objection at all. We should be as self-reliant as possible. Absolutely. However, before I get onto the feasibility of these plans, that doesn't help right now. See, we don't have a looming crisis. We don't have something that's been warned about. It was warned about years ago and we did nothing. We have a critical situation now and we need an urgent solution now. The government should have put off their Brexit immigration plans until we were in a position to manage domestically. The problems with the supply chain we're having right now are because of their Brexit immigration plans. That's it, 100%. They should have put them off until we could manage. The second thing is the idea that the government are looking at ways to recruit more domestic workers is false. They have known about this problem for a long time. Even if they were refusing to listen to the warnings, which it seems they were, the reality of shortage has been evident for months. They have still to do anything at all about it. How long do they need to look at the problem before they start implementing solutions? Because remember, the first solution you apply doesn't necessarily work. The bottom line is that if there were really loads of British unemployed frozen out by cheap migrant labour, as the gammons keep claiming, then why are those British unemployed now not taking up those jobs? You know, why aren't we looking at unemployment figures crashing through the floor as opposed to rising? What are the government doing to join this up? Bog all, because it was all rubbish to begin with. And then the third bit about investing in automation. I have absolutely no doubts that the government would love to see more automation, you know, freezing more people out of jobs. Fewer jobs in the UK with a crueler benefit system gives a lot of power to business owners, their traditional supporters. It gives a lot of power to get workers in on low wages and crap conditions. Though why business owners at the moment would support this government that is killing their main market for them is beyond me. But even here, the government aren't actually doing anything. They expect businesses to do this. Oh yeah, automation, brilliant. So what are you doing about it? It's not for us to do anything about it. And this is the government's response to any problem. It's to point out who they think should be responsible for fixing it. And they think that's leadership. That's what they think their job is. Here's a problem. Oh, right. Well, they should deal with it. That's how Boris Johnson works. We're short of lorry drivers. Well, the company should employ more drivers. We don't have enough people with licenses. Well, you should train more people. Well, why don't you train more people? Why don't we have government grants for that? No, it's not for us to do that. We have a shortage of staff in restaurants. Well, hire more staff. And they think it's obvious. They think businesses are a bit thick. Well, you're short of staff. Why don't you just hire more staff? What's wrong with you? Every problem for the nation is not a problem for this government, it seems. At which point, how do you avoid asking why we don't get a government that actually wants to govern for the nation instead of these hooray Henrys? But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Interesting headline in the Express. It does make me wonder if it was just a one-off or is it the way the tide is turning now. We will have to wait and see. But those are my thoughts for now. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.